Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead Daryl Dixon Season 2 video. So I want to talk about the big reveal that happened in this episode here. So before I go any further, I do have to warn you for spoilers for the episode, which I'm sure you already know. This was a really great premiere episode that I think built up Carol really well and reminded the audience exactly who Carol is, in case you forgot, right? Because Carol is somebody that will do whatever it takes to survive. And when you really look at a lot of the decisions that she's made over, the span of the Walking Dead franchise, just in general, like, it's honestly kind of insane. Like, she really does do the most insane things ever. And yeah, in this episode here, she has everybody talking now because of the big lie that she told to Ash. So I do want to break down this scene specifically and really talk about, I guess, some moments related to this and also the Sophia storyline in general. So before going any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. So the big reveal that happened here in this episode is, first of all, it just feels amazing for the Walking Dead to be back. You know, it's fall time and it's a Walking Dead Sunday, right? So just absolutely incredible. Honestly, I'm so excited the show's back here. But Carol does lie to Ash about Sophia, and that was always one of the things that I was curious about. You know, I was very curious about how Carol would convince Ash to I guess, go to France, because it's kind of unrealistic to just expect Ash to be like, obviously I'll take you there. Like, I feel like for Ash, because he did lose, his son early on in the apocalypse, it made it very relatable. And I think Carol knowing that, that's where things get very, I guess, sort of messed up with the situation, is the fact that she used Sophia's death as a way to actually get to France, right? Like, she literally lied about that. And a lot of people are shocked that Carol would lie about this. Like, I've seen this reaction everywhere. Most people are completely surprised that Carol would even do something like this. And I guess just shocked that Carol would lie about such a thing. But the one thing that I will say is that you just got to remember that this has always been who Carol is. And I think what has always made the character very interesting, because she will take things into her own hands. Like, she will do whatever it takes really to, I guess, just survive in general, right? Like, if you think about it, I mean, there's probably a lot of moments I'm forgetting about, but like, she lied about Karen and David, right? Like, that was a big moment in season 4. She actually killed Karen and David to save everyone, right? Like, she actually went and killed Karen and David. I mean, I don't even know if that would have done anything. I think she didn't even need to kill them, but like, the fact that she did that, like, that was just, again, Rick was forced to exile her. Like, he could not trust her at all. Carol has done a lot of things like this in the past. If you think about it, she let Negan out of his cell because she thought that it would benefit the group, I guess, by having him go and kill Alpha, which ultimately, it did work. But again, you can't fully trust Carol. She's always done things like this. And yes, she does have the right intentions, obviously, but she's very independent. Even though she will be on your side and she's a part of the group, she definitely will do things on her own. And she's always one step ahead of you. If you remember the look at the flowers scene, right? Like, just really crazy moment. Like, again, she'll do whatever she has to do to survive. And so I think, yes, the shock from that moment happening is something that I think is really what made this episode incredible. I think that it did more than that, actually. It really set up the season here, because I'm really interested in that aspect to it. And it's not even really the most exciting part of the season, because obviously Carol and Daryl reuniting is going to be so fun. The build up to that, the super walkers and everything. But this other element to it, the fact that Carol lied about this and that Ash is eventually going to find out at some point this season, I'm really excited to see what his reaction is going to be. And again, I just want to see what else Carol does this season that, I mean, obviously it could be kind of related to that. Like, we saw in the trailer for episode 2, and I guess some of the other episodes, that Carol eventually does meet Madame Janae. So what's going to happen there? Like, I do wonder if Carol's going to maybe lie about this or that. And I will say, Ash is such an amazing character. And the response that I've seen from everyone has really been that he's such an incredible character and that everyone wants him to survive the season. And honestly, I hope so as well. I hope that he is around all season, but I don't think he's going to be. Honestly, it's kind of hard to say which characters are going to make it to season 3, because they are going to Spain for season 3. And I think they are starting to set up some of that here in this season, at least based off the trailer, because there is that mysterious character and there could be somewhat of a connection there. But I mean, that's the thing too. If Ash dies, like, Carol's going to feel really bad about that. Like, I don't know where this story is going here, but all I know is that Ash is a really incredible character, and I really hope he survives the season. The Cherokee Rose scene was really incredible. A nice nod to season 2 of The Walking Dead. I wasn't expecting that. Honestly, I didn't expect to see that in this episode. I thought they would reference a moment like that eventually, but seeing the Cherokee Rose in episode 1, I thought was a really amazing moment, especially considering that it literally happens just before Carol lies to Ash about Sophia, which is really incredible. Like, Carol lies to Ash about her daughter, saying that her daughter is still alive somewhere in France because she knows Daryl is there. And so she hopes to see her because Ed took her there before the apocalypse. The apocalypse happened. And then obviously, planes went down and whatnot. So there was no way for her to get to France. And so I like the fact that Ash did question, Carol about that. Like, well, why now? Like, why didn't you try to go before? Why are you trying to go now? And then she mentions, I just sort of have to right now. And, Carol is lying because she has to find Daryl. Like, that is the main thing here that you got to remember too, is that that's just how important Daryl is to Carol, right? Like, Carol mentions, or I guess Melissa McBride mentions that Daryl is the most important person to Carol, because Daryl is the one person that she's known the longest in the apocalypse. And so I think obviously that makes a lot of sense. There's a connection there between Carol and Daryl. So that's why she's lying about such a thing like this. Like, I know it's something that is shocking. When I first heard the scene and heard what she said, I was like, wait, what? Why are you saying that, Carol? And it's because she has to. Like, she won't give up on Daryl because Daryl never gave up on Sophia, right? And that was one thing that if you look at season 2, everyone else gave up. Like, everyone else was just focused on the Lori and Shane drama, some of the stuff with Herschel and all of that. Daryl was just like, I'm not dealing with that. I gotta find Sophia, and really tried his hardest, almost died trying to find Sophia. Like, that's where the Cherokee Rose scene comes into play, and Carol seeing the Cherokee Rose, it just, right before the lie as well. Like, honestly, just such an incredible moment, because the thing about the Cherokee Rose back then in season 2 was it was one of the first moments that it wasn't just for Carol and Daryl, but for The Walking Dead in general. It was one of the first moments where you really felt a connection outside of some of the main characters like Rick and Lori and Carl, and then like Rick and Shane, because obviously they were like best friends, right? And this moment here between Carol and Daryl was just like, also, it was the one moment that really opened up Daryl to everybody, right? Everybody was like, oh, so Daryl's not like his brother Merle, right? Like, there's something more to his character. And then Sophia's death, that reveal was one of the most insane moments, and I always say to this day is really just an incredible moment, that one of the most iconic moments, and I think is what took The Walking Dead from just like, a whatever TV show about zombies or this and that to like, honestly, one of the best TV shows of all time. It was that moment specifically that did that. And again, a lot of it comes down to Carol and Daryl, and I just think Carol lying about this, it makes a lot of sense, right? And I will say this storyline does not feel forced. I just have to point this out. I talked about it in my review a little bit, but it feels like a very natural storyline to Daryl going missing, right? Or a very natural response from Carol to the fact that Daryl is missing now. Because if Daryl's missing, like, Carol's going to freak out about that. If something happens to Daryl, like what is she going to do? Obviously, Carol's going to feel this way. Like, the last time somebody was missing that was this important to her was Sophia. So, like, Carol is going to start to feel this way and start to think about Sophia, and all these moments are going to start coming back up, right? So, to me, this storyline, honestly, I think is absolutely incredible. The barn scene in this episode was just phenomenal. I thought the way they did it, it wasn't even the best moment in the episode, but it was a really cool moment in the episode. Just a really nice callback to that moment, and a lot of Walking Dead fans that obviously remember when this first happened, like, all those years ago, obviously, like, it was just really cool to see. And Carol lying, yes, honestly, it shocked me, and it seems like everyone else is having the same response. So they definitely really built that up really well. And honestly, I wasn't expecting this storyline to come out of the season here, and I'm excited that we have this to look forward to this season. Like, this is something that's going to be so amazing to really, talk about from episode to episode, or, if we're wondering, whether or not Ash is going to be coming back in this episode, because I don't know when he's coming back into the story. Like, obviously he's going to be there for episode 2, but I'm assuming at some point he's probably going to stay behind with the plane when they do get to France, and Carol's going to go out there and try to find Daryl and eventually go back to the plane, but maybe the plane gets destroyed. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I don't think Ash is going to die in episode 2, because I think if this reveal were to happen in episode 2 that Carol lied about it, like, it's just kind of a waste. This is such a really incredible moment that I hope, lasts all season. So that's sort of my prediction there. And in terms of how Ash is going to react to finding this out, I really think that, because Carol's going to be finding Daryl most likely, he might overall, I guess, forgive Carol, but Carol knew that his son died very early on in the apocalypse, right? Like, as soon as she found that out, she came up with the story about Sophia, being in France, and I think no matter what, he's going to be very upset about that. And I just don't think, I think it'd be really cool, honestly, if they made it where maybe he dies and he's just completely upset with her still. So there's no forgiveness. There's none of that there, because I think if a moment like that happened where Ash eventually just sort of said, I forgive you, Carol, like, you know, it's a little bit too easy. If anything, maybe make it where it's a little bit more tragic and now Carol sort of has to live with that a little bit, right? Because you don't want things to be too easy. But I don't know, really, honestly, I don't know where this is going to go. It's so hard to predict where this is going to go because I didn't really expect this to happen already this season. Like, honestly, before I watched episode 1, I thought Ash was going to die in episode 1. And then after watching episode 1, I'm like, no, I think he's going to survive the season, or at least until the finale, or like episode 5. So yeah, I thought this was a really incredible moment, and I'm so excited that Carol is now back and has returned to The Walking Dead. So yeah, but post all your thoughts down below. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.